Hello, y'all. This is Rational Reactions. I'm coming back to you today with another take. So as you might have known recently if you don't follow progressive news at all, but everybody knows this, that Nina Turner, who was running against Chantal Brown last year in 2021, was ultimately defeated by Chantal Brown, who's a corporatist Democrat who's been um, who's been funded by a lot of deep pockets. Very corporatist, deep Democrat in the pocket of big pharma. Um, so she lost that last year, and then this year, Jayapal, and overall the squad, who's supposed to be part of the Progressive Caucus, um, they chose to endorse Chantal Brown. Yeah, so that was a huge wake. I hope this is first of all, I hope this is a huge waking up point for people on the left who still think that supporting the Democrats is a good idea. That supporting the Democrats is going to get you any of your to get any of our solutions, our goals set in place. You have to understand the squad is there to run interference for the progressives. The squad is there to be controlled opposition. That's just what 100%. Besides maybe Cori Bush, and even I don't even have that much faith in her anymore, but she seems to be the only one in the squad who actually sticks to some at least some of her progressive or leftist ideals. The rest of the squad, they completely sold out to the Democratic Party. Even Cori Bush somewhat sold out. But the point I'm trying to make is that Pramila Jayapal, who is a member of the Progressive Caucus, is also a member of the Blue Dog Caucus. How can you be a member of both? You can't. You shouldn't be able to be a member of the Progressive Caucus, supporting Progressive Caucus, while supporting the Blue Dogs, which are conservative Democrats and corporatist Democrats like Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. How can you support them and the Progressive Caucus? It's progressive in name only. Basically, we'll call them Prinos. But anyway, and then, so if that wasn't bad enough, I mean, Nina Turner also was. It's not like Nina Turner was supposed to be this insurgent left figure. In this interview that I'm about to show you, she will defend the squad. This is as of a year ago, after Force the Vote happened. And if you don't know what Force the Vote was, that was a strategy introduced kind of de facto by Jimmy Dore, but was endorsed by several progressive people who were backing Bernie Sanders. It was supposed to introduce the idea of Medicare for all, at least to get a floor vote in it. And based on who voted for it, we could call out those who didn't vote for it. And of course, AOC made this bullshit ass excuse about how she couldn't. It's just a dumb strategy. If I didn't endorse your dumb strategy, then how can we? I mean, just don't call me a sellout just because I didn't do the one strategy that could, actually move the conversation forward. What the hell? But Nina is about to tell you that she would just be like the squad. Prepare to be disappointed if you elected me. So I mean, it's really, of course, I feel bad for her that she was not endorsed by the Progressive Caucus over Chantal Brown, a corporatist backed Democrat. It just really shows you that the Democrats all sell out, even Nina.
So, rightly or wrongly, people have been feeling a little bit demoralized because they feel as if the squad doesn't necessarily push back on Democratic Party leadership enough. And I wanted to get your take on this because I do feel a little bit mixed on this. On one hand, they are the only members who ever push back on leadership in the Democratic Party, but perhaps they could be more forceful. Perhaps they could, you know, uh, choose to fight even more battles with them. What is your take on this? Because I think it's really complicated. Because on one hand, the members of the Democratic Party have a lot of institutional power, and they could use their power to really silence and suppress, these progressives. But at the same time, it's frustrating because there's so much that's at stake, so many people suffering who want Medicare for all, student debt cancellation, that the standards are really high for members of the squad. So, what is your take in terms of like how you think they're faring as members of the squad, and whether or not your approach would differ in comparison with theirs to Democratic Party leadership in particular?
As far as a question like that goes, from the Humanist Report, who's kind of been exposed as sort of like a one of the progressives, one of the people who focuses more on just like culture war issues nowadays rather than actual healthcare kitchen table issues, maybe even criminal justice reform. I mean, but as far as that kind of question goes, this is back in 2020 or 2021, by the way, during a pandemic. They refused to give you healthcare during a COVID pandemic, by the way. But they refused to even discuss it during a COVID pandemic. Now is not the time. They said now is not the time during COVID pandemic. What can I say? But it's a fairly worded question. It's kind of this question would kind of be softball in my opinion. But Nina Turner is about to answer, so let's get into it.
Mike, you're right. It is complicated. That's the first thing I need the grassroots to understand, especially progressives. And I know progressives are disappointed. I mean, we tried 2016, 2020. I get it. So for me as a leader, not just somebody elected, because there are things that I can do in committee, things I can do on the floor of the Congress, but there's also things that I can do in my community and also across this country. So don't I want to say don't be disappointed. You got to have some understanding. It's okay to be disappointed, but the squad is ultimately the best that we have in terms of being able to push an agenda. And what that means is that you might not always agree with the methods. I need people to understand that when you are on the inside, it doesn't mean that you are selling out. I know they've gotten a lot of pressure, but they are the ones up there holding it down. They're pushing.
Okay, two things. First of all, it does seem that whenever the Democrats that we elected, the progressives, by the way, or the lefties that we elected to represent us and our issues, get put in the inside, it kind of makes they kind of do get corrupted. They have to fall in line with dear leader Pelosi. I mean, otherwise, I mean, you're kind of going to be lonely on the caucus floor. I mean, this is supposed to be the progressive caucus too. And then second, what are you holding down? Did we get Medicare for all, or at least the half measure that Biden promised us, which was the public option? No, we didn't get that. Did we get student loan cancellation? Did we get any kind of affordable housing solutions? Nope. Nope. We didn't get mandatory price caps. Nope. What about just legalization of marijuana, or at the very least decriminalization of marijuana? Nope. I mean, a lot of squad members voted for it in the House, to be fair. But, they didn't push hard enough. They didn't make the arguments. What you are holding down, though, is, continuing to fund weapons for Saudi Arabia, giving $2 billion to the fucking police, to give $2 billion to the police to fund more wars, and to not back union members. That's what you've been holding down. I mean, don't make you don't want us to. It's okay to be disappointed. I've already been disappointed by what you've said so far, Nina. I mean, I thought you were supposed to be this revolutionary activist. You were with Bernie. You were Bernie Sanders' running mate. And this is the best we can expect from you now? It's okay to be disappointed sometimes. Expect to be disappointed. How is that a good campaign slogan? Really?
As hard as they can, and just because things are not going exactly the way, just because they're not using the exact tactics that some in the activist community want them to use, that doesn't mean that
you mean the tactics that we wanted you to, that you said you would run, that you ran on? The tactics you said that you would do when you were running in your election campaigns? You mean those tactics? The grassroots tactics that we wanted you to use? So you're gonna you're gonna say the grassroots activists are wrong. They don't know. We obviously are fucking stupid. We have no idea what goes on in the White House, what goes on in Congress. Trust me. Trust me to run for you, and you may or may get like at least 10% of what you asked, what we promised you. At the most 20%. I mean, what is this? I'm sorry. This is like exposing you right now. And by the way, you're defending the squad right now. This is before all of this happened this year. I wonder how you feel now, Nina. That now that they just fucked you over. Pramila Jayapal, who she's been sus for forever since she first got into office. But how are you going to back them up now that they betrayed you? They betrayed you for a corporate Democrat who sold out to Big Pharma. Chantel Brown. How are you going to This is why people don't want to vote Democrat anymore. Nina was literally one of my last hopes for voting Democrat. And that was back in 2020. If Nina ran, and this was in 2020 after Bernie lost, after Bernie abandoned the movement and the movement split into different factions, the liberal faction, which is now kind of de facto led by people like Vosh, and the lefty faction, the populist faction, the ones that really backed your movement. So how are you going to stand here and tell me that the tactics that we used, it doesn't make any sense?
That you throw them away, because guess what? If you're throwing away members of the squad who are our best opportunity to get what we need, and also some members of that progressive caucus, then you're not going to have anybody there. So if the prerequisite, in summation, if the prerequisite for relationship means that I have to do, or the squad has to do everything you say, the way you say do it, then there's not much of a relationship at all. And that you're gonna be disappointed. Hell, they're gonna be disappointed with me. I said that to Tim Black when we interviewed. I'm saying it to you, Mike. I want them to know you're gonna be disappointed.
What a great campaign slogan, Nina. We're gonna be disappointed that you didn't do the thing, that you won't be doing the things that you ran on doing. So, I wonder how much. This cannot look good for you. This is by the way, one of the most infamous interviews in the lefty sphere, because it tells us that the person we had put hope in, the people that we had put hope in, are now sellouts. All of them, and even Bernie. There's no way that the left can vote Democrat anymore after this. Voting Democrat is just going to keep making you disappointed. We get it, Nina. So we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to back third parties. We're going to support each other via mutual aid, via strikes, and via revolt if we have to. In which, it's becoming more and more of a possibility these days as our options run out. Let me go back a second here.
I said that to Tim Black when we interviewed. I'm saying it to you, Mike. I want them to know you're going to be disappointed at some point. But that does not mean that you give up totally on the people who are the best fighting chance that you have. And then there's something called strategy.
It's okay. Oh, oopsie. It's okay if you make one mistake and disappoint us one time. If you make maybe even like 2 or 3. We accidentally voted. We voted for something that leftists didn't agree with, but we thought would gain us some political clout. I would have been like, okay, get your shit together and actually do something right. But this has happened over and over and over and over again, Nina. What do you think we are? Do you think we're gatekeepers for who we get to have in the left? No. We just want you to uphold the fucking principles that you goddamn ran on. We voted you to be in office to do things that you ran on. You promised us. But then again, politicians always make these sort of glittering promises and never live up to them. Just look at Biden. He even failed to hold up like milquetoast liberal promises. And look how far that got him. Now he's living up to almost none of his promises. And since it's election time coming pretty soon in 2022, he's trying to do like student debt relief, student debt cancellation that's temporary. I mean, if Biden decided to like legalize marijuana right now, I'm betting opinions might change just a little bit. But overall, the fact that you are still defending them. I mean, you took a knife in the back, Nina. You lost your own integrity, by the way. Even if you didn't take a knife in the back, you still lost your integrity. But you both lost both your integrity and your position and your endorsements. Pramila Jayapal and the squad, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't. They betrayed you. I wonder how you feel now about this. I wonder how you feel. You gave up your integrity just to kiss up to the squad and defend them. And they still fucking knifed you in the back because guess what? They're controlled opposition. They're here to stop the left-wing movement from being successful. So the only way the left wins is if we abandon the Democrats. We stop voting for them. I heard somewhere that if you show your politicians that you can't vote for them, if you show them you will stop voting for them, that makes more of a mark on that leaves more of an impact on their thoughts on what they can do better rather than continuing to vote for them regardless of what they do. The vote blue, no matter who types in this at this point, can fuck off. I don't care how bad the Republicans are because we already knew the Republicans were evil sons of bitches. We already knew that. But we expected you to do better. We expected you to be better than the corporate Democrats. We expected you to be better than Pramila Jayapal, than Kamala Harris, than Chantel Brown, than Kirsten Sinema, than Joe Manchin. We expected you to not be like those people. We expected you to actually help people out since people are fucking struggling right now. But no, you'd rather play ball with the squad. Okay. So, I hope you're learning your lesson, Nina, that no matter how much you try to kiss up to them, they will always view you as the black sheep. And they will keep kicking you out because they don't want the risk of an actual lefty. And even, I don't even know if you even qualify as an actual lefty. Based on the things you said, you sound like a grifter right now. And to think that you actually inspired me a couple years ago, before Bernie sold out, before Bernie started calling Biden his good friend, instead of calling his bullshit out and letting the DNC have their way. Because the squad is only there, especially AOC, she is only there to take Pelosi's place at some point. She's being groomed by the corporate Democrats in order to throw away all the things she stood for. And that would have been you. Maybe it's better that you didn't get endorsed by the squad. Maybe it's better that this is a learning experience from you. So you can learn from these mistakes that you made in the past by kissing up to them. You don't kiss up to them. You hold their feet to the fire. That's what you're supposed to do.
So the grassroots strategy is different than the strategy once you are on the inside. You will know when somebody is sold out. And I assure you that the squad has not, underline, bold, underscore, sold out in any way. They need the grassroots. You can.
The squad literally just voted against you and for Chantel Brown. They literally just endorsed Chantel Brown, a corporate grifter, a corporate big pharma grifter over you. Is that not selling out? What is the definition of sellout? I don't know. Ask Kyle Kalinske.
You can hold them accountable, but you don't throw them away. I mean, some of the pressures, even with Congresswoman Cori Bush, I would just want to use her as the example. I mean, she just got there. Hell, overall, the squad members overall just got there.
They've been there for 3 years. AOC has been there for 3 years. She's been there since late 2018, early 2019. 3 years. Ilhan Omar, same thing. 3 years. Ayanna Presley, 3 years. Ayanna Presley, I didn't even trust beforehand anyway. Cori Bush, 2 to 3 years. What have they done in that time? Name me like one good thing that they have done besides maybe making some progressive gestures and holding up the fists on Twitter. What have they fucking done besides attending Met galas? Pretending to be like, eat the rich, fuck Jeff Bezos, but then not actually following through on going to Christian Small's labor union activism. Christian Smalls asked them to be there, they weren't there. These people are dangerous, Nina. They will pose as progressives. They are there to run interference for progressives. They are there so they can sheep herd people back into the Democratic Party. Again. While the real progressives, like me, I've already named you many examples from the past, but Nina, this is sad. I'm not even laughing here because it's disappointing and it's saddening to me that you have fallen this far down. I can't believe that. I mean, you saw what Joe Biden was capable of. You didn't speak out against him then, and you're not speaking out against him now. If you really want to know, Nina, what the real progressive grassroots movement looks like, and I assume you do know because you keep mentioning them. Why didn't when you're inside Congress, you should push for these values no matter what. No matter what. Even if it doesn't have a high chance of making it through the corporate Senate and House floors. You still uphold your integrity. You still uphold your principles. You show people that there's a third way. You show people that there's an alternative to voting conservative or corporate Democrat. But what I've seen so far is that the progressive Democrats are serving the same function. They're turning into the controlled opposition that we didn't want them to turn into. AOC especially. The people that still defend AOC obviously haven't looked at what she's done recently. It's saddening. It's really sad, Nina. And the fact that you said you were going to be just like the rest of them just shows me that you were trying to make a move to benefit your own career. Because at some point you said, fuck Bernie's revolution, I'm just going to be part of the Democrats. Bernie said the same thing. I'm just going to work for Joe Biden. I'm going to keep going on Facebook and on Twitter posting little articles about how the billionaires are... You guys are working for them. Indirectly and unknowingly, but you guys are working for them now. You two, Bernie and you, were my last hope. Last hope. During the 2019 primaries. And when you got fucked over by people like Pete Buttigieg, by people like Joe Biden, by people who right? All the Democrats who just suddenly dropped out, stopped their motivation because, old Grand Joe was going to win. You didn't try to. Bernie literally said to us, he would be there with us till the end. He would be there to continue the revolution if he didn't win. What happened, actually, is that he just sold out to the Democrats. Unbelievable.
Even the ones who've been there a little longer. And then you have people just throwing up their hands, throwing them away just because they're not using the tactics that you want them to use. You don't know what is going on. And so part of
the tactics that you ran on. Stop repeating the same bullshit. You're absolutely bullshitting us right now. It's disappointing to hear this from you. It's disappointing and ingrating. And it tells me what I already knew. That the Democrats, no matter who they are, sell out no matter how progressive they claim to be. They sell out immediately as soon as they get into there because the money was just too good. That I could be invited to big parties with all the other corporate sellouts. Is that what you really want? Oh, I'm going to be as progressive as I can until I don't get invited to the next Met Gala. I'm going to be as progressive as possible until I don't get invited to the next fundraising event for donors. This whole schoolyard politics bullshit, this red versus blue, it ain't working for us anymore. We want something different. I thought you and Bernie were going to present that alternative, and guess what? Now this is what you're doing, and look, it fired back on you anyway. They didn't want you anyway. It's like getting invited to somebody's birthday party. It's like it's like trying to invite yourself into their birthday party. They didn't want you there anyway. Fuck.
The thing that I want to do outside of what I do, and I'm saying that on the floor of the House of Representatives and also as a member of committee, is to also continue to educate and bring people. I just want people to see it different ways, to get understanding. Stephen Covey, one of the most world-renowned leadership gurus, has a quote that I love. He says, "Seek first to understand and then to be understood."
If that really is the case, that the people at the grassroots tactics that you ran on don't work in Congress, then there's something wrong with Congress. It's not something wrong with us. Yet you're trying to fault us. You're trying to fault us for abandoning grifters and abandoning people and abandoning squad members in Congress that you say are the only ones who fight for us, but they haven't fought for us. That's not what you're doing. Anyway, I think this interview is about to end, but if before this video gets too long, Mike, I like that you at least asked questions. You didn't just simp like you usually do for progressive Democrats or quote unquote progressive Democrats. I hope, but your interviews right now are not like this back then. It's just sad, man. Just sad. Thank you for watching Rational Vids. If you like this, subscribe. All right.